Hi guys, so in today's video we're going to cover transpiration and translocation to help you nail that GCSE higher biology. Now, first of all, we're going to cover the phloem. The phloem is made of tubes of elongated living cells. Now those cells are adapted to have small pores in the end walls to allow cell sap containing sugars to flow through them. And we can see that in the diagram on the right. We can see that we've got end plates there with pores within them to allow the sugars to flow through. Next of all, these sugars are used for respiration, or they could be used for storage. And we know that glucose can be stored as starch. That's a long chain of glucose which can be used as an energy source when plants need it. The process can run in both directions, and that's a key feature of both the phloem and translocation. Now, I've got a diagram on the right with an arrow going up from the roots to the leaves and down from the leaves to the roots. The process of sugars travelling through the phloem is known as translocation. Next of all, we have the xylem. Now, the xylem tubes are made up of dead, hollow cells joined end to end with no end walls between them. Now, they're strengthened with this substance called lignin. Lignin gives structure to these xylem tubes, and it's a substance you'll find in tree bark to make it really tough. So it's a really strong molecule. Now, the xylem transports water and mineral ions from the roots to the leaves, and that only runs in one direction. So transpiration is one direction from the roots to the leaves, whereas translocation can go in both directions, which is a key difference. Now, the transpiration stream is the movement of water from the roots up through the xylem and out of the leaves through the stomata, or the singular for the word stomata is stoma. Now, transpiration is basically the evaporative water loss from plants. And we can see in the diagram at the right, we have water going in through the root hair cells into the roots, up through the xylem that runs up along the stem, and then out through the bottom of the leaf through the stomata. And water evaporates and diffuses out through the spongy mesophyll and stomata. Remember, evaporation is when a water turns into a gas, and diffusion is where we have the movement of a substance from a high to low concentration. Now, this evaporative water loss draws water up through the xylem to replace the water that's being lost at the leaves. And as more water is drawn up from the roots in the xylem, this creates a constant transpiration stream of water through the plants. Now, let's look at leaf structure next of all. You should have looked at this in a previous lesson. And essentially, we have a waxy cuticle along the top of the leaf to prevent water loss from the top of the leaf where the sun is shining directly on it. And below that, we have our palisade mesophyll, where we have cells packed with chloroplasts for photosynthesis. And below that, we have the spongy mesophyll, which has air spaces within it to allow carbon dioxide to diffuse into the palisade cells for photosynthesis, as we know that carbon dioxide is a reactant for this process. Water then diffuses out from the palisade cells into the spongy mesophyll and out through the stomata. And we can see here at the bottom, we've got a singular stoma, which is the singular word for stomata, and water diffusing out of that stoma into the air surrounding the leaf. Now, there are a number of factors that affect transpiration. The first one you need to be aware of is temperature. Higher temperatures give particles more kinetic energy, and that can cause them to turn from a liquid into a gas in a process known as evaporation. And in plants, this evaporative water loss, as we've said, is transpiration. Now, wind speed also can speed up transpiration. This increases the concentration gradient for water to move out of the leaves, because as we blow that water vapor away from the leaves, there's a concentration gradient in place. And on the right-hand side, I've shown some washing, drying on a washing line. You can imagine if we have a really hot day with a high wind speed, it will dry far quicker. And this is also how hairdryers are designed, because they have hot air moving the water and water vapor away from the hair to maintain a concentration gradient and dry it quicker. Now, another factor that affects transpiration is humidity. A lower humidity surrounding the leaves, so a drier environment, speeds up transpiration because we have a greater concentration gradient. That's going to dry out the leaves quicker, increasing the rate of transpiration. And finally, light intensity also can increase the rate of transpiration because higher light intensities mean we have more photosynthesis. And as mentioned earlier, photosynthesis uses carbon dioxide, and the stomata need to open to let that carbon dioxide in. But when the stomata are open, that means that water can then diffuse out from the underside of the leaf. Okay guys, that's all we've got time for. I hope you found this video useful. I will see you in the next one.